Field service management softwares like ServiceTitan, HouseCall Pro, workiz, and even Service Fusion are good at a lot of things, but tracking your marketing and specifically tracking your calls and your leads is just not one of them. And this is the number one reason I don't rely on any of them for tracking the proper channels in which my marketing leads come from. So let me explain a little bit first of how it typically works inside of the out-of-the-box functionality of your software. So in every single one of these softwares, they typically have the ability to create a bunch of different marketing channels for you to assign. You'll manually go in somewhere in one of your settings and you're going to create a bunch like, Yelp and Google and Facebook and website, and you're going to create all these marketing channels for your CSR or your office to manually assign when customers call. The issue, of course, is that the CSR or the office person doesn't always know where these calls are coming from. So what they have to do is essentially guess. And what ends up happening is they just end up choosing randomly from one on the list. And from there, you basically have no idea what channels are actually working. So the next option you're saying is, well, I use their built-in phone system. Well, guess what? That still doesn't fully work right. And let me explain why. So typically all of these softwares have, an upgraded paid functionality for a built-in phone system. These phone systems are basically, white labeled softwares. They piggyback off of things like Dialpad, which is what ServiceTitan uses, or Twilio, which I believe is what HouseCall Pro and workiz uses. And essentially these are just existing phone systems that ServiceTitan, HouseCall Pro put their name on, charge you a little bit more because it integrates directly into their software. And here's the reason why it doesn't fully track everything properly, and it's called dynamic phone swapping. So typically how these integrated phone systems work is you port your phone numbers over to them, and essentially when someone calls, a little bubble pops up or a little pop-up shows up on the screen for the CSR to accept, and these phone numbers are essentially assigned to the different channels that you're working with. You get one phone number, you put it on your Yelp page. You get a different phone number, you put it on your Facebook page. You get a different phone number and you put it on your Google Ads, your LSA. And while that works for a lot of static channels in which things don't change, it doesn't work on your website. See, the thing is that most of your leads are not going to come from these other channels. They're going to be happening on your website. And if you're using a static phone number or just one phone number, you're not going to be able to tell which one of these channels actually brought that customer to your website. All you're going to see is calls from website. And this is where this dynamic phone swapping comes into place. Essentially what it does is it puts a little script on your website and it will dynamically swap the phone number in a pool of phone numbers. So there'll be 5 to 15 different numbers that a customer may see when they land. Not all at the same time. Essentially what they see is they'll see one of those phone numbers in a rotating schedule. This is so that if 2 people land on the website at the same time or close to the same time, they're seeing 2 different phone numbers, and those 2 phone numbers are assigned dynamically based on the channel that they came from. Hopefully I haven't lost you yet. So essentially if someone comes from Yelp, someone comes from Facebook, they'll see 2 different phone numbers, they call, they'll still end up going ultimately to the same final destination. What this allows you to do is it allows you to see what websites are referring these leads to yours before they're making a call on your website. Now there's a few solutions that you can use to set up dynamic phone track. Number one, actually ServiceTitan. ServiceTitan is the only one on this list that actually has a built-in phone system that can do this. The problem is that it's only available on their Marketing Pro Ads, I believe, and that is a paid, extra paid feature, and typically that comes with a pretty hefty price. Now, if you're all in on ServiceTitan, I would definitely say go for it because there's a lot more functionality to that, including a deeper integration with Google Ads, but we won't get into that right now. The other solution that you can use, even with ServiceTitan, if you don't want to use the Pro feature, is using a dynamic phone tracking software like CallRail or WhatConverts. Now this will work with any field service management software, and it basically works like a hybrid approach with the built-in phone system and CallRail on top of that. Let me explain really quickly. So essentially you'll use the phone system of your CRM for your static phone numbers of Yelp and all these other pages, but you'll put a swapping number pool on your website from CallRail. What that will do, it'll choose the dynamic phone number, and then you can turn on something called advanced call tracking, and you say, if phone number comes from this source, send it to this phone number inside of House Call Pro or ServiceTitan or whatever that is. This way, if any of these phone calls are from referring sources that you have these static numbers inside of ServiceTitan or your software, it can still track it properly. It does create a double forward. It's the best method of getting full tracking of calls inside of your software. Now for us, personally, I like to just track everything outside, pull everything out of your CRM, cross-reference it for all the leads. We do that in our own proprietary software, and I think that's just a better way to track. However, this solution works really, really well to be able to ensure that you're getting as much detail as possible inside of your field service management software. And if you have questions about how this is set up, feel free to comment below and I'd be happy to help. Thanks.